What's up, my beautiful Maine-iac here with Week 4 NFL game picks. We start off with the Eagles and Packers game, but before we get to that, I just want to say, overall, we are currently 29, 18, and 1. We went 11 and 5 last week, so our two good weeks, we went 11, 4, and 1, and 11 and 5, and our one bad week, we went like 7 and 9, so yeah, we either do really good or we do really badly. Okay, so to start, I'm going to try to get into more explanations. This might be a longer video, so please stay tuned. If you have any questions about any particular team that you root for, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section down below, obviously, and try to give you a better explanation. And just remember, just because I pick against a team doesn't mean I don't think they're favored to win. I do tend to pick a couple of underdogs at least, just because upsets do happen, so picking the favorites would always kind of be ridiculous. And one thing I want to note before I start is Madden has a terrible habit of just fucking putting all the quarterbacks, under the descriptions of these games. Look at that. Carson Wentz and the Eagles, Teddy Bridgewater and the Saints. You got Mason Rudolph and the Steelers, Andy Dalton and the Bengals. What is this bullshit, right? Like, why do we care about freaking Teddy Bridgewater and the Saints? It's not Teddy Bridgewater and the Saints. It's Alvin Kamara and the Saints. Get it right, Madden. Anyway, we start off with Philadelphia and Green Bay. Green Bay, as you can see by the description down below, looking to go 4-0 for the third time in the Aaron Rodgers era. This would be huge, but more so than that, the Philadelphia Eagles, I believe in the modern era, only one team has gone 1-3 and made the Super Bowl. And if the Eagles lose to the Packers' elite level defense, or at least it looks very elite so far, then chances are their Super Bowl hopes will dwindle, especially if the Cowboys can pull off a win. Because sneaking into that wild card is going to be hard. Winning that division, even harder. One thing I like about this game is Jair Alexander. I always forget to pronounce his name. I hear it all the time, but then I just instantly forget how to pronounce it again. Him matching up against Alshon Jeffrey or Zach Ertz will be the most interesting aspect of this game. Carson Wentz does have a cannon of an arm. The promotional video, if you watch any NFL network, will say one of the two of the best quarterback talents in the league, one with the best deep ball thrower. Brr. Carson Wentz hasn't been playing well. He's not one of the best quarterbacks in the league this year. He has not been playing well. The Eagles have struggled. The Packers, I believe, are averaging under 20 points a game, but the Eagles have not allowed less than 24 points in a single game yet this year. This is also interesting for the fact that Eagles are without Deshaun Jackson. If Deshaun Jackson was playing in this game, I'd be tempted to pick the Eagles. In all honesty, I would be tempted. I'm gonna pick the Packers at home. Yes, that seems kind of in, but with how inconsistent the Eagles have been lately, with the Packers at home, Packers undefeated, that defense, I like the run game of the Packers as well. They have a two-headed backfield that should be able to handle the short week quite well. And it should be a good game, though. I think it will be a lot closer than most think. I would probably have to go 20-17. Maybe a come from behind touchdown by Aaron Rodgers. Who knows? Then you have Washington at the New York Giants, which is a very interesting game for me as a fan of football because it's Daniel Jones' first taste of the NFC East. Washington has been a very terrible team, but they've been competitive for most of their games, which is, I guess, a positive light to shine. McLaughlin, I think is his name, the rookie wide receiver of Washington, has been absolutely incredible. So watching him in this game is going to be fun. Dwayne Haskins still not starting, so that's disappointing. No Saquon Barkley for 4 to 6 weeks, so this is what makes this game interesting. With the rookie in Washington, and then you have no Saquon Barkley in New York, this game is going to be very, very close. It's going to come down to defense, probably in the end. And Washington does have the superior defense, but when you click it to defensive to offensive rating of the opposing teams, I think with the Giants having the higher ceiling quarterback, I think the Giants are going to win this one. I'm pegging Daniel Jones to get 3 touchdowns, whether it's passing or rushing, and the Giants win 26-21. And then you have Los Angeles Chargers at the Miami Dolphins. I'm picking the Chargers because the Dolphins suck. No offense to the Dolphins, they did show promise early in the game last week against the Cowboys. They were down 10-6 at halftime, but then they immediately caved. And one thing I like about Phillip Rivers more than Dak Prescott is, although Dak Prescott probably has the better team, and Melvin Gordon is coming back, but he won't be playing this week because he's coming back on a Thursday, and I believe you have to be with the team on a Wednesday. I might be mistaken, though. But he has Keenan Allen. Miami Dolphins don't really have anybody to counter that. They have Austin Eckler. Miami doesn't really have anyone to counter that. And that defensive line of the Chargers will pose huge issues for the Dolphins. And you have Oakland Raiders at the Indianapolis Colts. This one, to me, is very 50-50. I'm not disrespecting the Raiders at all. I like Waller in this matchup without Darius Leonard possibly playing. That looks to be a very good matchup for the Raiders right there. I like Josh Jacobs. I like Williams as well. They have a good, solid core. But one thing I like about Indianapolis Colts better is the fact that you pair Marlon Mack with Jacoby Brissett, and they're honestly hard to defend. Jacoby Brissett is probably more mobile than more people give him credit for. And that defense is more solid. That offensive line is more solid than probably most people might give him credit for it. And I mean the offensive line is a unit. Quentin Nelson is probably easily one of the best guards in the league, especially this early in his career. But the rest of the unit is also really solid. This one, like I said, this one's very 50-50 to me. I'm picking the Colts here because home field advantage is a thing. Although logistically it shouldn't be a thing, it usually is. So I'm picking the Colts. Raiders can very well win, though. Carolina, Houston. I like Houston to win this one. I do like Kyle Allen. He played really well. I like Christian McCaffrey. But the Carolina offensive line against the pass rush of Houston will be interesting to keep an eye out for. And more importantly, the Carolina defense against Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Hopkins, Kenny Stills, Will Fuller, and all of them. All them bitches. That will be very interesting to see indeed. Houston should win this one. But if Kyle Allen can keep the Carolina in this and even upset the Houston Texans, might spell trouble for Cam Newton coming back this year. And KC at Detroit, one of the few games where both teams are undefeated, because technically Detroit is 2-0-1, which means they haven't lost. I gotta pick KC in this one. I like Detroit's defense. They are very capable of stopping Kansas City, but they have to play a perfect game. Mike Daniels and Trey Flowers up front are going to have to disrupt on every play for them to stand a chance. More importantly, though, if the Lions want to stay in this, they're going to need to see a lot more out of Kenny Golladay, Danny Amendola, and Kerryon Johnson. Because this is going to be a shootout. This game could very well be 40 points to like 30 points. And honestly, I'm going to go with that with my score prediction. I'm going to say this game is 44 to 39. Weird score, but I'm going with it. And then you have New England at Buffalo. Again, another one of the matchups featuring undefeated teams. And as you can see what Madden says here, when was the last time an undefeated Bills team faced an unbeaten Patriots team? It was 2011. The Bills won 34 to 31. Also, what happened in 2011? Patriots made the Super Bowl. So, trends do happen, trends do not. This game, more so than the quarterbacks, obviously Josh Allen, Tom Brady, is going to be the elite defenses they both feature. The Bills have a very staunchy defense. The Patriots also have a historically staunchy defense. Currently, no offensive touchdowns allowed through 3 games. Yes, they face the Jets. Yes, they face the Dolphins. And yes, they face the Steelers. But when you look at those games, and an aspect a lot of people don't factor into that, and something I pay attention to, is when you look at final box scores and you're like, oh, this defense in 2017 allowed 28 points per game, we allowed 15 points per game, stuff like that. A lot of the games you really have to look at individually. Because say, like, early Drew Brees Stanton Saints, if they're up like 50 to like 26 or 50 to 17, those other teams are going to get a lot of garbage touchdowns, garbage yards. But this Patriots team, even though being up 33-3 on the Steelers, being up 43-0 on the Dolphins, being up 30-something to nothing on the Jets, they didn't give up any offensive touchdowns. They didn't let go of the momentum. And that's very, very important. If you have a team with a defense like that that will give up those garbage touchdowns, some of those habits can leak into the earlier parts of the game. So that's really good. The Bills, they are undefeated as well, beating the Cincinnati Bengals, the New York Jets in Week 1, barely, off a nice comeback when Sam Darnold was playing, so I'm not going to discredit them for that. And they won a good one last week as well, or Week 2, I should say. Right off the top of my hat, I'm going to go look up who the Bills have actually played. Because a lot of the time, when you're talking about the Patriots at least, everyone will discount them immediately because they haven't faced a good set of teams. But I'm looking at the Bills, and they faced the Colts. No, in preseason, no, they faced the Jets, Giants, and Bengals. So they beat Sam Darnold and the Jets, they beat Eli Manning and the Giants, and they beat Andy Dalton and the Bengals. They won by 1 point, 14 points, and 4 points. So although this defense is really good, they haven't really put up a lot of points or held opponents to few points against bad teams. Yes, the Giants had Saquon Barkley in Week 2, but Eli Manning has not been playing good this year. The Jets have not been good this year. The Bengals have not been good this year. So both these teams haven't really faced an elite defense or an elite team yet. This will be a true test of both. I'm picking the Patriots and personally in this one. One reason being not Tom Brady, and I'm not knocking Josh Allen here, but it's the weapons around. I believe Josh Gordon and Julian Edelman will be healthy, and I will take them over John Brown and Cole Beasley. And if you look at the running back situation, Singletary, I don't know if he's going to play yet. That's the situation when you record these earlier in the week. And Frank Gore is getting older, so I would honestly prefer Rex Burkhead and James White. Sonny Michel with his struggling lately, and James Devlin being out, I believe his snaps will be limited. Unless they involve Jacob Johnson, the NFL pathway player, international pathway player, to get more snaps, maybe at fullback to allow Sonny Michel that, but that would be yet to be seen. It's more so of a supporting cast kind of thing in this game. The quarterback to me honestly is a push. You have Brady Smarts, his defensive read capabilities, but you also have Josh Allen's improvisational skills, which are off the charts good. His legs are good, his arms good. So it should be a very fun divisional game. And so help me God, if I see one goddamn dildo thrown on the field, I will not shut up on Twitter for at least 4 days. And you have Cleveland at Baltimore. Baltimore has to be fed up with the talk about Cleveland. And they're coming off a tough loss to Kansas City. So if you're the Cleveland Browns, I feel honestly super bad for you, because Harbaugh is going to be pissed, and he's going to want to prove his team belongs by beating the fucking shit out of you. And honestly, I think it's going to be an attack of Hollywood Brown and Mark Ingram just constantly just going right down your throats. And they're going to finish it off by bending you over with Mark Andrews. It should be an interesting game. This score, I don't give scores for all of them, so if you want score predictions that I didn't give scores to, just write it in the comment section down below. This one I would have to say is going to be 45-27. Then you have Tennessee at Atlanta. This one to me is 50-50. I'm going with the Tennessee Titans for one reason and one reason only. Matty Cold, or Matty Ice Cold, I should say, because he has been awful this year, has struggled. Mariota has struggled, although he hasn't really given the ball away, which is good. It's Derrick Henry. I would much rather have Derrick Henry over Devontae Freeman right now. Freeman absolutely blows balls for the Falcons, and it sucks because I picked him up in like the 3rd round of fantasy, and he's just not doing anything. Also, a note I want to say about the Titans and the Patriots and stuff like that. Going into this week, next week, do not forget the New England Patriots will be getting back Benjamin Watson, the tight end that they acquired in free agency from the New Orleans Saints, and the Tennessee Titans, I believe, will be getting back Taylor Lewan, one of the best offensive linemen in the league. So that could change some things. And then so like I said, I'm picking the Titans. And then you have Tampa Bay at the Rams. Tampa Bay, I don't know how the fuck you blew that game last week. I had a bet with my fiance, and I was sitting there at the end of the game. I'm like, oh yeah, a field goal to win, and I can win this bet. No, missed it. But I'm not blaming it on the kicker. That guy had made 4 field goals previously. If it wasn't for that guy, you wouldn't even be in the game. How do you have a wide receiver score 3 touchdowns, a guy kick 4 field goals, and a guy get 4 sacks, and you still fuck up? That being said, if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because I want to be positive towards all the teams on here, because I want to be neutral. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if they want to win, they're going to need a lot of sack production from Shaq Barrett, and hopefully White plays in this game, in this one. Obviously, if the Rams want to win, get the running game going. And they have Seattle at Arizona. This is my upset of the week. I am picking Arizona at home. I'm going against Russell Wilson, who put up nearly 50 fantasy points last week, and he wasn't starting for me, which made me cry a little because it lost me the matchup. But Seattle poses a very interesting challenge for Arizona because obviously Russell Wilson poses an interesting challenge for everybody. I like the pass rush of Arizona, though. I like how David Johnson is looking. I like how spread out the ball has been getting with the Cardinals' offense, with Christian Kirk getting more involved. Larry Fitzgerald not being the main focus, I think has helped a little bit. Also, I do want to see Andy Isabella, how he improves in the second half of the season, but that is irrelevant. I'm picking Arizona in the upset at home. If I had to pick a score, I would say 26 to 22. You'll see a reason for that. Jacksonville, Denver. I'm picking Jacksonville here. I'm picking the 70s porn star Gardner Minshew to lead Jacksonville over Denver against Joe Flacco and that flaccid penis of an offense that he has. No offense, but that run game looked so good last year with Lindsley and Royce Freeman. Now it does not look good at all. Lindsley does not look good at all, and it sucks because I was hoping so much he would have a good career. If Denver wants to win this one, though, they're going to have to control the time of possession, and they're going to have to get a damn sack. If that pass rush can get going, Denver definitely has a chance to win. Minnesota versus Chicago. I'm picking Chicago at home. This one's tough because I don't trust either quarterback, and they're going up against really good defenses, but I'm going to pick Chicago and Khalil Mack. One reason being is I believe they produce more points on defense, and Kirk Cousins, I cannot fucking trust him. Although, I will say this, I don't think Chicago is heavily favored in this game. One reason being, Dalvin Cook looks fucking amazing. If Dalvin Cook gets going against the Chicago defense, that's going to solidify his place in the upper echelon of this season's running backs. It's going to be a good game. We have Dallas at New Orleans. Alvin Kamara is going to be the key if New Orleans wants to win. That being said, I'm picking Dallas because obviously I don't trust Teddy Bridgewater enough, and I trust Ezekiel Elliott a lot more. I'm looking for the Saints defense, how they handle an offense like this, if they can keep it competitive, if they can keep it close. That's going to be a very positive sign going forward. And I want to see if the Cowboys struggle against New Orleans like they did early on in Miami, where Dak Prescott threw an interception. Because if you do this against the Saints defense and the Saints tricky looking offense with Alvin Kamara, you might not get your lead back this time. They were lucky it happened against Miami before. And the Miami pass rush actually looked really good last week, which was odd. I don't know if it's something wrong with the Dallas offensive line, but it'd be interesting to see with Cam Jordan coming. And then you have Cincinnati at Pittsburgh. Unlike New England and Buffalo, unlike Kansas City and Detroit, these are the winless teams in the NFL. 0-3 and 0-3. Honestly, if I look back at all the games, I think these are the only game. This is the only game with 0-3 teams, because the only other team I can find off the top of my head that is 0-3 is Miami, who is facing the Chargers, and the New York Jets, who have a bye week. and the Redskins, who are facing the Giants, who won last week. So someone's getting a win. Someone is getting a win, and we'll scroll over here. Boom. Mason Rudolph and the Steelers look for the first win of the season against Andy Dalton and divisional rival Bengals. The key to this game for the Cincinnati Bengals is going to be John Ross, if he can hold on to the fucking ball. It's going to be Tyler Boyd, Eifert. They're going to have to pass the ball deep and often against the secondary that is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Micah Fitzpatrick provides an awesome layer of depth for the secondary, but with weapons like Boyd and Ross, you should be able to exploit the weak side almost whenever you want. But with Andy Dalton and the Bengals and that fucking awful play calling, it's not going to happen. That offensive line is not good. That running back core has struggled all season against TJ Watt. It does not look promising. And then you have the Steelers offense on the other side. They look to be up against the wall as well by a good pass rush from Cincinnati Bengals. That offensive line is good for the Steelers, but is Mason Rudolph good enough to lead the Steelers to a win? That's going to be the major question. James Conner does not look the same as he did last year. Maybe it's the pressure getting to him. I don't know. Hopefully he shakes it off. This would be the perfect game to do it. You're facing probably one of the weakest opponents you will face all year. If you cannot win this one, Pittsburgh, you got to start asking yourself some questions. Anyway, I'm picking Pittsburgh with Minkah Fitzpatrick being the key. I think he's going to pick off Andy Dalton twice. And I will see you guys in the next one. Hopefully, next time I talk to you, we will have amassed 40 wins. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.